Hi, I'm Janeane. This is KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and this is Get the Funk Out. Standing by to join me is Mary Kiernan and Jennifer Tennican, and we're going to talk about the film Hearts of Glass. I heard giggling. You didn't know the name of my show?
I even though I did know it, I giggled anyway. I have the sense of humor of a 10-year-old. So
Oh,
yeah.
it's perfect. I've always
No,
been
I'm
like
with
that.
you. It makes me giggle too. It's a great name.
Thank you. Thank you. So I want to ask how the two of you came together to create this film.
That was all Jennifer.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah. So I'm the director and producer of Hearts of Glass, and we completed the film and did our sort of initial film festivals in 2019, and then we aired on public television stations across the U.S. last year. We sort of had a tie-in with the 30th anniversary of the ADA, and we realized that the film was really resonating with a broad spectrum of folks, and that educational institutions were a great way for us to reach out and engage with the next generation who are involved in food production, sustainability, disability inclusion, social entrepreneurship. So I actually relentlessly pursued Mary at Syracuse, telling her that we had pivoted from doing live events to virtual events, and seeing if this would be something of interest for her. So I'll let Mary take it from there.
Okay.
So the email comes through from my director, this is coming through. Is anybody interested? And Jen had sent more than the trailer. You sent the whole video. So I just watched it, and I was 8 minutes in getting teary-eyed. So I watched the rest of it, and then I said, of course, yes, we're interested. What's going on with this? And then who will take it up? And now everybody's busy. So it's like, I will take it up. I just felt really strongly about it because I have, in my career, which has been around a few years, in my career in food service, always worked with people with a variety of disabilities, but never in the way Hearts of Glass was presenting it, never in a way that it could be done.
Yes.
So it was just, it's important to me. And I had been working with Inclusive U at the university because I work in the kitchens, commercial kitchens, and those are fun classes for everybody to take. So we'd been seeing this program. I didn't realize our Inclusive U program is only 5 years old.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And then Jennifer came back with, I've reached out to these people too. So my first goal, as it's how I operate, is let me see if I can get the money first, and then we'll go from there. And, it takes a little bit of time and a little bit of effort. And I just started to reach out to people, and not one constituent that was on our list said no. So we got it secured, and we just went forward.
The film is amazing. It's outstanding.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, it was a real honor, I think, to be able to collaborate with Syracuse because they are such leaders in inclusion. They really do set the bar very high, and it was great. I think Mary appreciated it as well, sort of having the infrastructure to make the screening as accessible as possible, to make the conversation as accessible as possible. Things that we don't always consider,
Right.
If we don't have a disability. And this is just a way of raising awareness, and I think reinforcing how important access is, and that it really is, we all should have the right to that kind of access and to be included in all aspects of life.
Yes. So. And it's a perfect example of how other businesses should treat people, how they should include and speak to and teach and be patient, the whole 9 yards, how they should treat other people.
Yeah, I'm reluctant to call anything perfect, just because I'm a pragmatist, and I'm sure there are certain things that, and everyone has a different perception of what perfect is, and every person with and without a disability probably wants to be treated in a slightly different way. So, but I do agree with you that, for a lot of people, this is the first time they might see what supported employment looks like, where there is a job support whose role it is to help the person or assist or the person with a disability to master their job and then eventually take themselves out of the equation or be there to assist in pushing to higher levels. So I think one thing that Vertical Harvest has been really great about is giving people opportunities to grow in their positions or learn transferable skills that they might then take to another business. They're not assuming that everyone who comes in wants to work in a vertical farm for the rest of their days, kind of thing.
Sure. No, that's what I loved about it. I mean, just the patience and the time to spend with people that perhaps they wouldn't have the opportunity to learn how to answer a phone, to learn how to speak to a customer, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good lesson in patience for everyone. And
I agree with that 100%. I think it's a good lesson for all of us to take that step back. We learn to take a deep breath when we're angry at something, count to 10, do all that. Well, why don't we do that as we're learning to help one another? I mean, and I just think there can just in general be more kindness extended to one another, and let's look for what we can do versus what we can't do.
Sure.
Yeah, I think that's something, and probably Janeane, you can speak to this, is, when parents early on, dealing with health professionals and a child with a disability, I'm sure they're bombarded by all the things professionals are telling them that their child won't be able to do.
Right.
And so I think, turning that perspective into putting ability to work, high expectations, we all know whether we have a disability or not. I think our success often depends on our infrastructures of support, right? And setting people up for success. And I think, again, one of the powerful things and the powerful thing about the conversation, touching on sustainability, so economic sustainability, environmental sustainability, social sustainability with a business like this that is a for-profit business, is realizing that supporting a marginalized, underemployed community is not only benefiting them, but is benefiting the employer, is benefiting the community at large. It gets people off, some of the social net systems, where people can be more independent. I think it's probably more economically beneficial in a lot of ways in the end. So I think that those are all things to consider. Like it's great to do certain things because they're the right thing to do, but I think often in a business context, you also want to make the point that it is the economically sound thing to do, whether you're looking at, the number of consumers who are people with disabilities or the number of consumers now who take into account a business's, corporate social responsibility kind of flow.
Right. So give the listeners a synopsis of the film.
Okay, so Hearts of Glass is a story of the first 15 months of a very innovative hydroponic farm in Jackson, Wyoming. And it follows 5 main characters through the first 15 months of the business, showing people inside and outside of the business, and, really touches on disability inclusion, sustainable local food production, innovation, and social entrepreneurship.
I loved it. I mean, I had to rewatch certain parts of it. I thought, do you have an audience in mind for this? Because I feel like it's all ages.
Yes. So I think one of the challenges with the film is, whatever you're selling, right, you want to find out who your audience is. And clearly the disability community is a primary audience, but I think the opportunity here with the film is because it touches on other topics, because it's not just a film about disability, it's about a, community impact business, it's about sustainable food production, a public-private partnership. It's got a lot of different aspects to it, and I think that allows us to reach a broader audience. So, it's not just continually preaching to the converted who already know that people with disabilities have capabilities and skills and can contribute and should be treated as equals and all of those things. So we've had really enthusiastic reactions from groups that I didn't really think about initially when we were doing film festivals. So master gardeners love this film.
I believe it.
Yeah. And then, we were under the auspices of our slow food chapter here in Jackson through production and post-production. It's been a little harder to engage some of the foodie folks. So that's been a little bit of a moving target, but we've had a lot of success with reaching out to land-grant universities. Again, this sort of academic, I think it really, because it's interdisciplinary, because it is not super complex content. I believe sort of middle school through, university would work. But, having the ag departments come to us, being really excited about it, and then engaging, psychology and social work and education, that's been refreshing.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I found that watching the people that work there, watching them interact and, trying to coach and mentor, they were incredible people.
The people working as supporter in the business of Vertical Harvest. Yeah. I mean, I think, that can be a benefit for a small community. I'm sure Mary has had similar situations in kitchens, probably, where, it does feel like a family. And I suspect that kitchens are probably as high stress as growing food, if not more stressful. So, I think Vertical Harvest was lucky in that the third co-founder, Caroline Croft Este, who is shown in the film as the human resource director, she came in from a background in being a service provider. And many of the folks who work at the greenhouse either did work as service providers or through their interaction with coworkers with disabilities, then chose to pick up work, being a provider. So it's had a great kind of reciprocal effect.
And just last week, Mary, it was shown at Syracuse.
Correct. And I think one of the pieces that stood out to me as far as the mission of Vertical Harvest, and very important, is that employing in this fashion was part of the mission from the beginning. It wasn't, let's build this, let's get making money, let's look at all our numbers and all our financial statements first, and then let's add that later. It is such a part of the mission and the starting point. And I think that speaks volumes to the success. And if you noticed as you watched the film, not once did it back up and talk about issues with that structure of employment. They had issues with the plants and the humidity and, other things, but not with that piece. And I think that's really important going forward. I'm really super excited to see the growth as Vertical Harvest goes to Maine. I'm really excited about that because I know the area pretty well. And, there's a couple other locations to see this model recreated elsewhere. I'm teaching a sustainable food enterprises class right now, and the scope of what the students are learning of how do you fix all this? When you open up those 17 sustainable development goals from the UN, it's absolutely overwhelming.
It is, yeah.
But if you can pick one piece, and I was trying to explain to the students, to us, we look at it like, well, does it really matter? And there's an old story about a little girl and a starfish. She keeps throwing them back in the ocean, and her grandpa's like, well, that doesn't make it makes a difference to that one. This makes a difference to this community. It's going to make a difference to the next community and the next community. And you know what? We only have the time here that we have. So you keep trying.
What can we do now?
Exactly.
So Jen, how does that feel to hear that?
Well, I mean, it's sort of a dream come true. I mean, I was told initially by some folks who I reached out to that I either had to make a film about disability or about an innovative business, and I couldn't do both. And I decided that that wasn't right, and I was going to do what I wanted to do.
Oh yeah, well, I'll show you.
Yeah, well, well, yeah. So, I mean, to me, the best use of this film is as a catalyst for these kind of conversations and to get people motivated. I mean, we all know like this last year has just kicked the blank out of everybody.
Yes.
And it's just nice to have something that's uplifting yet realistic. I mean, there are ups and downs, and I mean, it's not a Pollyanna kind of perspective, but we can make a difference. And and I there's so many great things and interesting innovative perspectives to addressing social and environmental issues out there, that it's great to have this film kind of be a jumping off point for community conversations. Because I think as an independent filmmaker, I mean, I couldn't be more pleased with Vertical Harvest's success and the way they're replicating, but my goals as a filmmaker in sharing this story are probably a little bit more general in that I don't think people have to create this kind of business to foster an inclusive corporate culture. You don't have to start
Right.
this kind of business to become more sustainable, those kind of things. So I think, in the conversations that in the virtual events, when we do them, and as we did with Syracuse, it was very important to have someone who's involved in the sustainability on campus be a part of that conversation, as well as someone from Inclusive U who could talk about, I mean, it was so cool to know that, they're doing raised bed gardens and they're producing all this food for the college community. And
I didn't know that. That's fantastic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and a lot of that's fairly new in the last 5 or 10 years. But part of how some of that comes about is, why do we even have this need on our college campus? We have a food pantry. That's a whole nother conversation, and a whole another area where work needs to be done. That we had this pantry, and then they started talking about the garden, and well, what if the garden could fill the pantry too, so that they weren't just getting all of that processed food.
Right.
So
So important.
one little solution can create other solutions elsewhere too. And it also keeps opening up that picture of how much there is to solve, how much there is to make better. Yeah. And we're a bee campus too now.
Oh, you are?
Yes.
Very cool.
Yeah.
It is amazing though. I mean, I was never a gardener growing up. I used to think, oh, it's so boring. And I built raised boxes, planter boxes. And I actually tried, I successfully grew butternut squash for the first time. So just taking old seeds, throwing it in, going, wait a minute, look at this. It exploded in butternut squash. But there's something about that process, that experience. And I'm sure for a younger student, that's lifelong, and you can apply that to something else.
Yeah. I agree with you on the gardening. I tried to fall in love with it because my father loved it. And, it's too hot, too sweaty, all these things. There's bugs and snakes and things, but throw some seeds in the ground. Somebody at the university once said, nobody's throwing seeds in the ground. Try that. Right. So we put our vegetables right next to flowers, whatever. If it grows, great. We bless it. We talk to it when we walk by and hope for the best and turn on the hose. And yeah, it's really kind of neat. Yeah. And it's funny because the generation of students coming through, when you say, oh, I grew this, you did what? Yeah, exactly. Try it. Throw some seeds in the ground.
Sure. And then they actually start eating it.
Yeah.
Well, this is amazing. What else would you like people to know about the film, Jen?
Let's see. Well, I'd certainly like people to know that, the kind of things that we've done, as with Syracuse and the virtual events, we're really excited about diving into those this year. So, if people would like to share the film with their community, there's a virtual event page on the website where they can get some information. But just that, we're absolutely thrilled with, bringing together really a diverse spectrum of viewers to watch it and bring their perspectives into a Q&A with us as we talk about it. It's tremendous to be able to update people on what's going on, since the film is very much this snapshot in time of the beginning of the business, and so much has changed. So we really appreciate that.
When was it shot?
It was shot 2016 and 2017.
Okay.
And then editing and post-production for, I forget, six months, 9 months. And then we started entering it into film festivals and doing conferences and things like that.
And you got into quite a few festivals, I see.
We did. We were surprised, pleasantly surprised. We were in a number of really well-regarded, just sort of general film festivals, a few that were specifically for documentaries, and then some that were even more narrow in that they were disability-focused film festivals. So yeah, we were happy.
Can I ask Jen a question?
Of course.
Is that process for you much like your process of bringing it to a college campus?
No. Well, I guess yes and no. I mean, film festivals, for the uninitiated, for the non-independent filmmakers, film festivals are great. There are only 3 film festivals that anybody knows and that technically count in the larger world, right? So it's Tribeca and Sundance and another one.
Cannes, the Call My Agent one in France.
Right. Anyway, there are only a couple, and film festivals are great, but they definitely don't normally represent much economic benefit for independent filmmakers. We pay to be a part of those film festivals.
Okay.
So it's great because you're testing out your film on audiences, and when we could travel and see live reactions in a film in a theater, that was great. But there are only so many of those that you need, and I think as people have pivoted to doing more virtual stuff as a result of the pandemic, and independent film distribution has evolved. I really see it having a much bigger impact by me really seeking out folks I know can get something out of this. I mean, I love the festival thing and it's great, but to me, there's nothing better than, finding a super engaged college or university or government agency or non or for-profit that wants to bring this to their stakeholders and have a really meaningful conversation. So yeah, they're all part of the puzzle, but after you get, a few laurels, which officially means that your film was good,
Right.
you can move on.
Got it.
I know, it's so funny how it works. I'm a writer as well. I've written scripts, and you get that laurel and you're on cloud 9, but at the end of the day,
yeah, it doesn't really mean anything economically. And as an artist, you have to make money. And,
Right.
what I loved about working with Mary is, we charge a fee for this and we provide a service. And, I can't tell you a surprising number of large academic institutions that we've gone to who are seemingly well-financed, seem to have a weird expectation that this is something we would give away for free. So thank you for not expecting that.
You're welcome. And at one point somebody said to me, "Whoa, well, that's kind of expensive." And then I was looking at a couple other things they're bringing onto campus. I'm like, no, it's not.
No,
Think about what goes into it. No, it's not. And then in retrospect too, if you had to travel and get your panel here, no, this is a bargain. Just, all right, you get out of my way so that I can go down this avenue for the people who are saying yes,
Yeah.
The pleasure of working with me is priceless in and of itself.
Exactly. You should have added a 0.
Get to be your manager.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I know. That's why I don't have a manager.
I think about the impact of my daughter studying to be a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And she's taking a disabilities class. And I think about the impact on people that are studying to become teachers that want to go into this field and seeing this film.
Mm-hmm.
This is tremendous.
Yeah. So one thing and we're doing some local screenings here in Jackson. We found, or the greater Teton community, we've found some donors who want to underwrite the gift of screening kits for middle and high schools, both public and private in this region. And my goal would be that all teachers see this film. It's not just, we don't just want the special education teachers to see the film. I mean, obviously, and that's great, but I think it again presents this opportunity for a broader understanding that disability is simply part of the human experience. That inclusion is really important, and separate but equal hardly ever works. And really is not the way to go. So yeah, I love that you think that, and I would love to get it to as many teachers who would like to see it as possible.
That's amazing. Well, if there's anything I can do, let me know.
Okay, all right, will do. You'll rue those words, lady.
Where can people find out more about you and the film?
Do you want me to give you a link that people can go to?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Should I send it to you?
Well, just shout it out right now, because
shout it out right now.
Yeah. And then send it to me, and I'll make sure it's on my blog, because I'm pretty sure it's on there.
Okay. It would be, yeah, let me just get you.
Hold on, because I've got the blog up. Let me make sure I have the right one. And I have the trailer as well.
Yeah, the trailer is on this, on this link. So it's www.heartsofglassfilm.com.
Okay.
/organize-a-virtual-event /
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also have your social tags, Facebook and Instagram.
I thought you were going to say social security number. I was like, damn you.
Yes, I've got that too. I did a full check. Okay, so your Instagram and Facebook are Hearts of Glass Film, and Twitter, Hearts of Glass Film.
Twitter is Hearts Glass Film.
Hearts Glass Film. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much. This has been fantastic. Congratulations. And Mary, this has been wonderful.
Yeah, nice to meet you. Yeah, thanks for reaching out.
Yeah, thanks for doing this. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.